Today we are going to discuss about some internal distractions. One of the aspects of mom session is to get you ready for the whole day, every single day. So over and above how we are fighting the external distractions, how we are removing a lot of them, there are 2-3 internal distractions which will consume your internal bandwidth. The problem with this is it happens at a near subconscious level, which means there is a good chance that some of you may not be knowing it or may not be knowing the impact of it. Okay, so the original concepts are a bit deeper. These are psychological aspects, but for you to understand, I kind of want to use simple English so that you'll be getting it, but the underlying problem is something different. So the first one in this context or in this regard, I think you should be able to see the screen here. Yeah. Let me write the words and then I'll explain. First is dissatisfaction. I'm so critical about this that I can actually call dissatisfaction as a disease. Now, you can always think about getting dissatisfied regarding various things, as most of the time your own performance. But in general, if you look at it, dissatisfaction is a disease. So it is something which you should always look at with a certain sense of criticality. Do not accept it on face value. If you're getting dissatisfied constantly and continuously, it's not something normal. Staying in a state of dissatisfied mode is not something normal. So in your internal thought process, if you constantly get to that point, please understand you have to work on it. On similar lines, there's something else which is called something else syndrome. Your mind always tricks you into believing that something else should be happening, something else should have been happening. Let's say you started auditing. Now you start reading it, but in your mind it says probably I should have started FR, or within FR you started India's 115. Now within FR, your mind constantly says you should be reading something else. So constantly, instead of focusing on what is happening and what should happen, it constantly makes you or forces you believe that something else should be happening. So these are all escapist phenomena. Now, why would your mind like to escape? Because when you accept something, you have to accept the load. Now, when you let's say you go to the gym, until that point it is fine. But when you actually start lifting, the weights, it's very hard and heavy on you. So you'll come out with various excuses. Now, one of the common things which people always have is the risk of injury. Okay, if I lift heavy weights, I might get injured. Or today I did not eat breakfast properly. Or today I have something else. So constantly you won't put yourself into the zone where you have to put in the actual amount of effort. You keep thinking about various factors which will give or reduce the quantum of work to be done. It applies both for the physical level and also for the mental level. So this whole cycle, I would say the whole AFM cycle, starting from 21st to 30th, please make sure you put in enough effort to understand if you're bothered by this. And I would say please note them down as well. You have to remove these two aspects, otherwise every given hour you'll be end up losing at least, I would say, 10-15 minutes into this. Even the approach, let's say for a particular chapter you are preparing in a certain way and suddenly your mind doesn't accept that process and it thinks it should be done in some other way. So for every single thing, if you have contradicting thoughts, it's like understand this in this manner. You're trying to move forward and then you're mind is asking you to go into the reverse gear. You're trying to take a right and then the indicator is showing you how to take a left. So constantly there are two people living inside you. That is what is dissatisfaction, right? When everything is harmonious, it's satisfaction. When there are two contradicting thoughts constantly running inside you, dissatisfaction. It doesn't matter to take left or right. Take a side and stick to that. When you're taking right, don't think about left. This is very, very important. And something else syndrome is far more dangerous because every time, every given moment, you expect the world or you expect something else to happen, something else to happen, something else to happen, because this is happening, but you want something else to happen. So if this is persisting, please have a check on this, please have a tab on this, and you definitely have to work on this particular aspect. So this is where I wanted to bring your attention onto this. More of this, I just want to get some responses in terms of how you normally handle the scenarios and what happens. I want to hear your perspective in this regard. So first thing we are calling it dissatisfaction disease. Second thing, something else syndrome. In these two aspects, what is your perspective on this?